Just for a few moments, pray to Sri Ramakrishna for peace and joy of the whole humanity. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Stavakaya Jadharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stavakaya Jadharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avadara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Yate Namaha Asato ma Sadgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. In the last class, I was dealing on this subject, how one should become competent to pursue the spiritual goal. As Sri Ramakrishna said, one should have grit. It's very important. You must become competent. That's why the practice of disciplines is prescribed. To increase your capacity, you must become capable of pursuing the goal. So, the question of austerity, discipline, all these things came up. The purpose of all these things is to have proper control over the function of the mind. So, unless you become adhikari, you will not be able to have any success in your spiritual pursuit. Sri Ramakrishna has given his prescription for austerity out of consideration and compassion. Sri Ramakrishna was well aware of the capacity of the people. So, he was very careful in prescribing the discipline for the aspirants. He knew very well that modern man's power of endurance is meager. So, Sri Ramakrishna's prescription is very simple and straight. You have to have one prescription or other. That's very important. Sri Ramakrishna says, and when he says the results are assured, if you follow the prescription, the effect you are sure to experience. He said, have bhakti, devotion within, and give up all cunning and deceit. That's very important. You can't develop bhakti if you have cunningness. That means here again Sri Ramakrishna is pointing out how important it is to establish yourself in good character. When it comes to spirituality, you have to be aware of practicing. So, Sri Ramakrishna tells, you may be engaged in your business, you may be doing job in the office, but you should hold on to truth. Truthfulness is the tapasya of this age. That is the austerity of this modern age. To be truthful. The gate to spiritual kingdom will be opened only when you are truthful. To be truthful itself is the greatest austerity. One must be very particular about telling the truth. Through truth, one can realize God. In this one word, Satya, truth, Sri Ramakrishna compressed all the creative concepts of austerities indispensable for attaining purity of mind, leading to God realization. What is contrary to attaining God is falsehood. With a profound psychological approach to the concept of austerity as purificatory to mind, Sri Sharda Devi, the Holy Mother, taught with a deep personal accent. She said, look, the mind is everything. It is in the mind alone that one feels pure and impure. A man, first of all, must make his own mind guilty, and then alone he can see another man's guilt. Does anything ever happen to another if you enumerate his faults? It only injures you. Holy Mother says, this has been my attitude. Hence I can't see anybody's faults. If a man does a trifle for me, I try to remember him even for that. To see the faults of others, one should never do it. I never do so. Mother sets an example. Are you pursuing the spiritual goal? Then be certain, be very certain that you should not pick up fault in others. So Holy Mother's prescription is forgiveness is the tapasya. Forgiveness, kshama. Sri Ramakrishna said to Pandit Shashadhar, there are many scriptures like the Vedas, but one cannot realize God without austerity and spiritual discipline. What is spiritual life? Spiritual life means implementation of the spiritual ideas in your daily life. Are you doing that? You have to question yourself privately. People love privacy. Ask yourself privately whether you are practicing it in a proper way or not. Be very definite about it. One cannot realize God without austerity and spiritual discipline. You can't find God in the scriptures, in the six systems, in the Tantra and all the texts talk about God. It should be noted that spiritual progress cannot be made by way of high jumps, long jumps and 100-meter dashes. You can't acquire spiritual progress that way. Progress, to be sure, can be made only step by step. Swami Vivekananda teaches in the complete works, everyone, without exception, every one of us can attain to this culmination of yoga. But it is a terrible task. If a person wants to attain to this truth, he will have to do something more than to listen to lectures and take a few breathing exercises. It is something more than that. These are the words of Vivekananda. He says, everything lies in the preparation. And he explains his ideas so beautifully through analogies. He says, how long does it take to strike a light? Only a second. But how long it takes to make the candle? How long does it take to set a dinner? Perhaps half an hour. But hours to prepare the food. We want to strike the light in a second, but we forget that the making of the candle is the chief thing. We must remember that no impetuous, hurried or careless movement can take us nearer the goal. What is needed is energetic, steady practice of disciplines according to the authentic teachings about the chosen path. Swami Vivekananda warns, the great danger is that everyone wants to jump at the highest ideal. But jumping is not the way. That ends only in a fall. We are bound down here and we have to break our chains slowly. Swami Brahmananda, one of the foremost disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, he teaches a profound truth. He says, it is of vital importance that a man begin his spiritual journey from where he is. It will be greatly helpful for us to remember his entire teaching in this context. One disciple asked Swami Brahmananji, Maharaj, what's the significance of all these gods and goddesses? Do they really exist? What's the meaning and purpose of ritualistic worship? People keep on asking this question, but nobody can stop. Ritualistic worship, nobody can stop worshipping gods and goddesses. Anyway, Brahmananji answered his question very clearly. He gave him an illuminating and exhaustive answer. Brahmananji said, the many gods and goddesses represent but so many different aspects of one Godhead. There are people of different temperaments, and so they are inclined to different ways of worship. To meet the needs of all, the scriptures prescribe 4 distinct methods of worship. One method is the ritualistic worship of God embodied in an image or symbol. Higher than this is the worship of God with prayer and japam. By this means the aspirant prays and chants and meditates on the shining form of his chosen ideal within his own heart. Higher still is meditation. When a man practices this form of worship, he keeps up a constant flow of thought toward God and becomes absorbed in the living presence of his chosen ideal. He goes beyond prayer and japam, but the sense of duality remains, he and the chosen ideal. The highest method of worship is meditation on the unity of the Atman and Brahman. The individual self, the Atman, should unite with Brahman, the universal self, the wave merging in the ocean. This leads directly and immediately to God. The aspirant experiences Brahman. He knows that God is. It is an actual realization of the omnipresent reality. These are the different stages through which the aspirant progresses. 4 stages are given here. Ritualistic worship, prayer and japa, meditation, and meditation on the unity of Atman and Brahman. It is of vital importance that a man begin his spiritual journey from where he is. If an average man is instructed to meditate on his union with absolute Brahman, he will not understand what is Brahman, what is Atman. Confusing. He will neither grasp the truth of it nor be able to follow the instructions. Sometime probably he may try, but sooner or later he will find he cannot do any more struggle. He becomes tired of it. He gives up. However, if that same person is asked to worship God with flowers, incense sticks and other accessories of the ritualistic worship, his mind will gradually become concentrated on God and he will find joy in his worship. Through such worship, devotion to the performance of japam grows. The finer the mind becomes, the greater is its capacity for the higher forms of worship. Through japam, the mind inclines towards meditation. Thus the aspirant gradually and naturally moves towards his ideal. Take the illustration of a man standing in the courtyard of a house. He wants to reach the roof of the house. But instead of climbing the staircase step by step, he permits himself to be thrown up bodily. What happens? He is seriously hurt. So it is with spiritual life. One should follow the gradual path. For just as there are laws governing the physical world, so there are laws governing the spiritual world also. It is by such stages that one progresses spiritually. Herein comes the important role of Guru. It is a Guru who, through his insight and understanding, points out to an aspirant in what particular stage he is and how he should advance on the path. After receiving instructions from the Guru, what next? It's all a question of personal striving according to prescribed methods. Personal striving. To make spiritual progress, the aspirant has to put forth his maximum effort, and that in a self-integrated manner. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Mukta sangonaham vadi dhyutyutsaha samanvitaha siddhya siddhyor nirvikaraha karta satvika uchyate. Lord Krishna says, who is said to be satvik? He who is free from attachment, non-egotistic, endued with fortitude and enthusiasm, and unaffected in success or failure. He is said to be satvik. So, you have to become satvik to achieve success in the spiritual life. Spiritual striving in the manner of the sattvika doer guarantees sustained ability to undertake the long-drawn spiritual practices that are needed for progress. No qualities are more necessary for a marathon journey like this, year in and year out, than fortitude and enthusiasm. Dhrutyutsaha. Dhruti, utsaha. Fortitude and enthusiasm. Zeal. Only those who are free from attachment, those who are non-egotistic, those who are unaffected by success or failure, they can have a perennial supply of fortitude and enthusiasm. Many break down on the way and fail to make spiritual progress because their inner supply of these qualities falls short. The great secret of perpetual fortitude and enthusiasm is incontinence, physical and mental chastity, which makes for clarity of understanding and certitude of spiritual convictions. What Lord Krishna calls Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, one-pointed determination, can be had only by being truly continent. An aspirant cannot have singleness of purpose unless he is sure that what he is aiming at is the highest, after attaining which nothing higher remains to be attained. Fortitude and enthusiasm, dhriti, utsaha, Lord Krishna has specified. They are the natural psychic inflow in a person who has conserved his physical energy and given it a higher direction. When this conservation becomes well confirmed, what will happen? He develops ojas. It's a special spiritual energy through the exercise of which subtle divine truths are comprehended and realized. Such a person never lacks fortitude and enthusiasm. Sri Krishna's thundering spiritual precept to all spiritual seekers of all times is that one should elevate oneself by one's own self, and that there is no other friend or foe than oneself. Uddhayed atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet. That was. We have quoted this many times. Every time you quote, you feel find inspiration. How true it is what Lord Krishna has pointed out. This is a great message. For here, man is taught that he is the maker of his spiritual destiny. Spiritual destiny. The aspirant who captures this truth in the firm grasp of faith will find that when he starts lifting himself by himself, all the forces around which had seemed to be antagonistic begin quietly to become helpful. So, the substance of all this is that you require inner stability, grit, fortitude, and enthusiasm, and Satvik nature to achieve success in your spiritual life. Page 566. M wanted to accompany Sri Ramakrishna to Dakshineshwar. That very day he became thoughtful. Surendra stood near Sri Ramakrishna. He was in the habit of drinking and often went to excess. This had worried the master greatly, but he had not asked Surendra to give up drinking altogether. He had said to him, "Look here, Surendra, whenever you drink wine, offer it beforehand to the Divine Mother. See that your brain doesn't become clouded and that you don't reel. The more you think of the Divine Mother, the less you will like to drink. The Mother is the giver of the bliss of divine inebriation. Realizing her, one feels a natural bliss." The master looked at Surendra and said, "You have had a drink." With these words he went into samadhi. It was dusk. Regaining partial consciousness, the master sang, "Behold, my mother playing with Shiva. lost in an ecstasy of joy, drunk with a draught of celestial wine. She reels and yet she doesn't fall. Then he chanted the name of the Hari, and occasionally. In a sweet voice he said, Hari Hari. O mind, chant the name of Hari, sing the name of Hari. Then he chanted Rama, 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 Rama. Now the master began to pray, O Rama, I am without devotion and austerity, without knowledge and love. I have not performed any religious rites, O Rama. I have taken refuge in thee. I have taken shelter at thy feet. I do not want creature comforts. I do not seek name and fame. O Rama, I do not crave the 8 occult powers. I do not care for 100 occult powers. I am thy servant. I have taken refuge in thee. Grant, O Rama, that I may have pure love for thy lotus feet, that I may not be deluded by thy world bewitching Maya. O Rama, I have taken refuge in thee. As the master prayed, all eyes were turned towards him. Hearing this piteous voice, few could restrain their tears. Ramchandra Datta came in and stood near him. Master said, Where have you been, Ram? Ram answered, I was upstairs, sir. Ram had been making arrangements for feeding the devotees on the roof of the house. Master said to Ram with a smile, Isn't it better to stay down below than to be high up? Water accumulates in low land but flows down from a high mound. Ram said with a smile, That's true, sir. Supper was ready on the roof. Sri Ramakrishna and the devotees were taken there and sumptuously fed. Later, the master went to others' house with M, Niranjan and others. The Divine Mother was being worshipped there. It had been others' earnest prayer that on this sacred day, Sri Ramakrishna might bless his house with his presence. We should stop here. You have to keep on thinking and thinking and thinking about these spiritual ideas, correcting every day, corrections. You have to keep on making corrections every moment. There is no point in covering up the mistake. You don't have to disclose to anybody. You can have utmost privacy. Keep all your defects within yourself. You don't have to disclose, but correct them. You must correct. If you find you are not behaving properly or you have got some defects, there's no point in unnecessarily reacting to those defects. On the other hand, take positive steps to fight all those defects. Give corrections to them. That's the life. Purifying yourself, struggling hard, developing character, stabilizing yourself. You must have sufficient grit, strong determination. You will pursue the goal till you get success. That's what Sri Ramakrishna always tells in his teachings. We have to give utmost attention and priority towards our daily practice. Daily you have to watch yourself, how far your spiritual practice was going on. Don't expect somebody to appreciate or depreciate your spiritual practice. You are your own judge. Judge yourself. Nothing to worry, nothing to lose. God is great. God is compassionate. If you sincerely aspire for Him, you are sure to get Him. Any questions? Now consciously, if you practice truthfulness, that's what is needed. That is, it includes to be honest and to be dutiful, to discharge your duties wherever you are in a proper fashion, according to the prescribed conventions and traditions. One should maintain that character. Sometimes, in order to get name and fame or some position or some promotion or to get some favor from higher ups, one may be tempted to tell lies. But as a spiritual aspirant I am talking about, as a spiritual aspirant, you should never utter untruth. Whatever difficult situations you may face, probably you may have to lose something, but even then you should not worry about that, because they're all tests in your spiritual life. They come, they tempt you to tell lies, they tempt you to be cunning and deceitful. That's why in the course of my talk today I told one should be free from cunning and deceit. Very important factors. It's only when you are well established in truthfulness, then only you'll be able to have the experience of the bliss of God, who is the embodiment of truthfulness. It is very difficult to practice. That is why Sri Ramakrishna says, practicing truthfulness is the austerity in this age. And absolute truth, relative truth, absolute truth, it's a fact that everything is Brahman. But in order to realize that, we have to go according to the situations and surroundings, and we have to face some ground realities. But as I said, whatever you feel that is truthful, you must follow it. In fact, the spiritual texts will guide us in this respect. The holy teachers will help us in this respect. So when you come in contact with spiritual ideas, all these things become more and more clarified. And you yourself will come to know in course of time what is the meaning of truthfulness. That is, one has to behave in a guileless way. One should be guileless. That is a test of practicing truthfulness. That's how I feel. Anything else? But what is important in spiritual life is, as Sri Krishna has pointed out, dhriti, utsaha, zeal and enthusiasm. You have to build up your life in that fashion. Otherwise, how do you feel joy? You have to become really strong. Then only you will appreciate the beauty of God. All that we shall conclude. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name, stream down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar every step, bathing in His name, that path for weary souls. Various are Thy names, O Lord, in each and every name Thy power resides.
No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for Thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is Thy servant, O sweet one. In Thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath Thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant separation from Thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without Thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at Thy feet let me be in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of Thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of Thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O Thou who stillest the hearts of Thy devotees, do with me what Thou wilt, for Thou art my heart's beloved, Thou and Thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy, may the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear, may the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works be satisfied. For He being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.